Michelle Prince, founder and CEO of Performance Publishing Group, making a difference one story at a time. We'll be shining the light on successful founders, entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders that are getting results and making a difference. We'll talk about how they built their businesses, are creating movements, and leveraging the power of authority in their own lives. Be sure to stick around to the end of the show, and we'll reveal how you can be our next guest. Let's get started. Hey everybody, it's Michelle Prince with the Power of Authority Spotlight, where we are shining the light on successful entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders, and people that are doing awesome things. They're building their authority, they're sharing their story, and they're making a difference. And our guest today fits all of those categories. But first, this episode is brought to you by Performance Publishing Group. Performance Publishing Group provides top quality, comprehensive book publishing services for soon-to-be authors. The Performance Publishing team has helped thousands of people become published authors. Will you be next? As a partner publisher, Performance Publishing Group can offer you more than just expert guidance. They want to make sure you get the book of your dreams and you reap the rewards. For more information, go to performancepublishinggroup.com. All right, let's get started. I want to introduce you to my guest, Penny Zenker, who is the Focusologist. Easy for me to say, right? I love that term, which we will be talking about, Penny. She's an international motivational speaker, business strategy coach, and best-selling author. She founded, developed, and sold her first multi-million-dollar business while living in Zurich, Switzerland. Later, at the world's fourth largest market research company, she managed business unit turnarounds and was a Tony Robbins business coach, helping entrepreneurs around the world to double their businesses. Her clients tell her gift is cutting through the clutter and helping them focus on the most important and relevant areas to sustainably grow their businesses. I mean, what entrepreneur does not need that, right? Penny's high energy and interactive keynote presentations, motivational speeches, and workshops inspire and challenge you to think, act, and be more strategically, be more emotionally intelligent, and inspire personal leadership. She's a best-selling author of The Productivity Zone, Stop the Tug of War with Time. As a master NLP practitioner and neurostrategist, she integrates the elements of thought, communication, and behavior to provide strategies for positive changes and maximum results. Her expertise focuses on strategic thinking, leadership, problem solving, communication, and productivity. She has coached hundreds of successful business leaders and entrepreneurs in leadership roles, relationships, and building culture. Welcome, Penny. Woo!
Whoa, that was a lot, right? Who was that?
I know.
Don't you get like when somebody's reading your bio, you're like, wow.
Is that me? Yeah. No, I know the feeling too. And you're like, oh gosh, really? You could have just said, this is Michelle. But no, I love that because I think it's important to read the bio, truthfully, because there's so much more than we put out there. I mean, even you and I have met before. I've been on your podcast, and even some of those things I didn't necessarily know.
That's true. You're right. Sometimes we don't lead with some of the deep, experience that we actually have. And so that is true. So now everybody knows.
Well, I'm excited you're here. There's so much we need to talk about because, one thing as business owners, entrepreneurs, I mean, we have, of course, that they call it entrepreneurial ADD, right? Where we're so—
What do you mean? Squirrel.
Yeah, squirrel, right? I cannot relate to that at all. None. No,
me neither.
But it's real and it's problematic in terms of really growing and being all that we're supposed to be. And I know that that's what you help clients do. So let's talk about that. How on earth do you help people to be more focused?
Well, we what is the saying? You teach what you need the most, know? So okay. I'm so susceptible to this, that, or the other thing. Like I'm a creative person. I'm always connecting different dots and being like, oh, I should do this. So I think it started out with the practices for myself is really getting clear on what matters and focus on that. And so, because you asked a big question, how do I do that?
Yeah.
To answer that in a very simple way, my new book actually distills down into 3 steps how I do that, because it's one of those things that it takes years to figure out what those 3 steps actually were. Like, it was the beginning of the pandemic, and I would say 90% of my business at the moment is doing public speaking. So all of a sudden my income went to 0.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, how do I stay focused when we have this level of change and challenge and uncertainty? And then I thought, well, as I'm putting together presentations for, the virtual side, well, how have I done this? And when did this start? And what were the commonalities, right? And digging a little deeper. And I realized that I've been doing these 3 steps since my father died when I was 19, when he was killed in an accident.
Wow.
And I realized in some shape or form, I've been doing that. And that's how I manage turnarounds of the business, selling my own IT business and scaling and growing that, always coming back to focus. But right, how do we do that? Well, there's 3 simple steps. And then you're going to say this is ridiculously simple and get out of here. But we don't always need the aha. Sometimes we need the oh duh, right?
Yeah. That's
to
so
remind
true.
us.
That's a great line right there. That's so true. The things that we know will make our lives happier, more successful, more money, more better relationships. It's not rocket science. It's just a matter of being reminded and refocused on it.
Yeah, I think it's reminded, refocused, and also to have a simple practice, right? It's about a practice. So this reset practice that I have realized has three simple steps. So I could share those now if you wanted me to.
First,
and then of course,
the name of the book, because I want to know when it comes out, we want to be ready for it.
Right. Well, we're working on the name of the book, so it's something like Reset Moments.
Okay. We'll get there then. That's okay.
Yeah, we're still working on the title. But yeah. So but it's around reset practice, and a reset practice happens in reset moments, right? We have to actually wake up and realize, hey, this is a reset moment. This is a moment, a critical choice point where I could get 2 completely different outcomes. When we're not getting the results that we want, when we're experiencing a conflict, when even when we have a great success, it's also a reset point to say, okay, what was successful? What worked here? And so that we can repeat it. Because sometimes people think when they hear the word reset that it's like, okay, we had a global reset with the pandemic, so I get that.
Yeah.
But it's not only those massive changes, it's also in the little moments. We should be resetting not just once a day, but multiple times a day with all the distractions we have to say, hey, am I focused on the right thing? Am I focused on the thing that moves the needle? And so if you give me a drum roll, then I'll tell you what those 3 things are. So it's really simple. The first one is to step back. Is we have to step back away from the emotion that we have as we're like loving the thing that we're working on or hating it.
Right.
We have to get some objectivity about what's, and connect to the bigger picture while we're stepping back. What problem are we solving here? What is it that we're achieving? Because we get so lost in the task, and that's a form of distraction, because it's distracting us from the bigger picture. We might be chasing the wrong rabbit.
So true. Oh, wow.
So that's the simple thing, is step back, give yourself space. We don't do that today. Every single little space we have, we fill with something. People go to the bathroom and they're on their phone while they're in the bathroom, right? They're on their phone while they're waiting in line at the supermarket. They're on their phone in their car when they should be focused on driving. And I'm not saying that I'm not guilty of any of those things, but when you have a practice, the more you put it into place, the more it becomes intuitive as to who you are. And some of those things you'll be more present to them, and you'll recognize, hey, I need a moment here to just step back and get some perspective. So that's the second one, is get perspective.
Okay. Love it.
Because until we step back, we're in blinders. So then we open up to the different perspectives, different solutions to a problem, different ways to approach things, different ways to address the like if we're having a conflict, to understand that we deal with different personality types.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting perspective, looking at the marketplace. How is it changing, right? There's so many different ways that we need to get perspective depending on the situation. So it is very high level, the framework, but if you do these 3 simple steps, right, based on the work that you're doing, it will help to ground you and help you to own your focus.
I love that.
And the last one is just realign. Is now that you've reconnected, you've stepped back away from the emotion, you've got objectivity, you reconnected to the bigger picture and the greater objective, you've gotten some perspective, you've analyzed a few things, what's my opportunity cost and whatnot, and then you can say, okay, now I'm clear on what it is I need to focus on.
Mm. And it is simple, but it's so true that something you said, just sometimes getting lost in the task. I mean, how many of us literally are going from one thing? I was just having a call right before this, talking to somebody about that, like going from this call to this call to this call to this call, that sometimes you're just so busy moving that you don't even stop and think. And the comment you made about, are you chasing the wrong rabbit, reminds me of the quote, I'm going to get it probably wrong, but about, is your ladder leaning up against the wrong wall or the wrong building, right?
Right.
And so much time trying to climb a corporate ladder to find out that, wait, that's not what I want to do.
Right. And entrepreneurs don't realize it. There's so many different areas that we are, and because Confucius says a person who chases 2 rabbits catches none, right? That's kind of where I got the rabbit, because I use that in my talk. But for entrepreneurs, it happens all the time, is we're sometimes so focused on going after the sale that we forget to focus on the customers that we do have, and that we have. If we just did more with what we had, that should be our first focus always, because it costs more to acquire new customers. For me to extend the customer base that I have with more offerings, or to make sure that they're not leaving, right? Attrition is a huge cost. So just so that, we think about, where is our focus? I was working with one magazine owner, and she was struggling just to break even. She wasn't even, really able to create the profitability. And when we took a step back to look at where she really was, her advertisers were churning every year. They weren't staying. There was only like 20% that were staying. Oh. And she didn't even realize it, because she was so busy, like, got to get new advertisers, got to get new advertisers. And the truth is, she needs to get some new advertisers, but if she kept the ones she had, then she would every new advertiser would create more and more profitability. Mm-hmm. And so all we did was allocate a very small portion of her time every week dedicated to customer loyalty, and for them to understand the value of the advertising, to educate them, to support them in creating their advertising ads so they would be successful, little training videos, whatever it might be. And that made all the difference. So she flip-flopped it. Instead of only 20% were staying, 80% were staying. Wow. And she was bringing in new customers and not having to work as hard. So more profits, and not having to work as hard. Who doesn't want that?
Right. And it was already in front of her, because these are customers that already trust her. And exactly. Is it as simple as that, would you say, for all businesses? Meaning, like, is it focusing on what you already have versus going after the new, or is it only in specific industries? Or
I would say almost across the board. Like, that's the first thing that I look at. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's the quick win. Always look for the quick wins first. Now, that's not to say that there aren't other areas that people are focused in the wrong direction or have their ladder up against the wrong wall. But that's one of the easy, quick things that I can share with, your group that could make an immediate impact.
I love that. It's so, I'm thinking here of even our own customers. We do publishing and we provide all kinds of services. Technically, when the book is published, the project is over, but we don't want to, we're now part of their family. Like, we're going to help them and promote them and continue to push them. But, do we do a good enough job staying in touch? Probably not. Probably could do a better job of that. So that's a great reminder. Thank you.
Yeah. And, you could be suggesting ideas that you see them post, hey, have you thought about this as a book? That's a great idea, right? Get them started quicker on their next book. Exactly. Or, offering other services, which even you might not offer. Maybe you have partners,
Yes.
Where you have a reciprocal agreement because you want to support them in every stage.
That's
So maybe
exactly
there's
right.
book promotion and there's a social media company that you could work with, even though you might not do it, they might do it, right? So how do we that's a
Continue
win-win,
that relationship.
win-win-win, right? Because it's a win for you, your customer's happy, that's a win, and your partner is happy because they get additional business. So it just
It works.
it works.
So I'm curious, your background and mine are similar in that we both worked for some incredibly influential motivational speakers, game changers. I was with Zig Ziglar, you were with Tony Robbins. So how is it working for Tony?
It was great. I loved working with Tony. I mean, clearly it wasn't like me and Tony, right? So he has a big organization. So it wasn't like, hey,
Hey,
Penny,
bud.
great, come to work today. But learning under him, he, even before I started working there, it was one of those things where I went to one of his events.
Huh?
And I just had this emotional moment where I was like, I want to work for Tony Robbins. I want to do this kind of work. I want to really support people to shift their mindsets and also to be able to shift their business. And less than 2 years later, it just fell into my lap kind of thing, is that, someone knew somebody who was the CEO of Business Breakthroughs, which was a Tony Robbins, Chet Holmes company, and made the introduction. And then that happened. So,
Wow.
but the knowledge that was transferred through that process was just incredible. So generous in the training, and it's the repetition, as you know, right? It's that repetition of, so now it's really a part of who I am. It kind of was when I came in, but even more so, and more broad in how I'm able to apply it, because the more it's part of who you are, then you integrate it into all different things.
For sure. And, everything boils down to mindset, essentially. And because, you can learn different skills, you can do different things. But what I've found, and I literally had a coaching call today with somebody about this, that if you shift your mindset, that's when the possibilities are in front of you. But so many of us get stuck in our beliefs, our I can't do this, or who am I? And that's when I feel incredibly very blessed that I had the opportunity to be around Zig, because he was constantly, helping people with their mindset. And I know Tony,
Lifting them up. Yeah.
yeah, and shift those shifts, those even like your 3-step, step back, get perspective. That perspective is the mindset shift.
Exactly. Well, actually, stepping back is the first shift.
Too. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Because like you said, we get stuck, right, in various different ways of thinking and our thought patterns or language patterns. And just stepping back sometimes creates that awareness that allows you to let it go and realize it's not serving you, and opens up to that perspective. It's rare, I think, that people go right to the perspective, and maybe they think they do, right? But there is a process where they're not open to perspectives. How many times have you talked to somebody where they're like, "No, I'm doing it this way. Like my way is the right way."
Teenagers.
You're like, "Okay." I have a client. This was so funny. When was this? It was they were That's right. It was it's a PR company, and it was about AI.
Uh-huh.
And I told them over a year ago, was it 2 years ago, as Jasper and some of these other tools were just coming up. And I said, these would be great tools to support your team, especially because they were feeling overloaded and they create a lot of content. And she's like, oh, they feel like, and they don't want to do that. They feel like it's not professional.
Right.
And I was like, well, it could be just to stimulate ideas. It doesn't have to be that they're verbatim, like posting something that they get from that, right? It's just, it might save them 30% of their time to quicker get to ideas and things. So she just said to me yesterday, she's like, the team said, now that GPT chat came out, right? They're like, the team said that they're going to take a look at the AI. And so they weren't open to a new perspective. And so,
and now they've lost 2 years or a year at least.
Exactly. And what does that mean? It means that other companies that embraced and were open to new perspectives and were looking ahead are already 2 years ahead of them. So they're going to have to be thinking what's next in order for us to really create a competitive advantage to jump them.
And sometimes it's hard to know because especially in our world of so many things and you have to do this or try this or this is new or this new program or platform. And sometimes it's hard to know, like, okay, is it worth going in that direction or not? Sometimes saying no is just as effective as just trying out everything. But
we totally have to check in with ourselves. There was a time period where I felt like I was changing learning platforms. Like, no, this one's better. Okay, I'll move over to that one. I'm not finished. Like before we even implement one, we're moving to the next because somebody and I know this is a common problem. The next CRM system, the next landing page system, whether it's first you started on I even forget what that one was called. There's a multitude of them, right?
I know, there's so many of them.
They all work.
I know.
We just have to stick with one. Like, do your analysis of what is it that you want to create, and then just stick with it because it's just like context switching is huge in siphoning our focus away from us, right? Is so distracting. So is system switching, which is definitely a entrepreneurial disease.
And I think a lot of it too, and this is all subconscious, but when we're busy, I need to move, I need to do this, or I need to build out this part of my business, and I need to bring in this platform. It's almost justifying our distractions.
Oh, yeah.
The distractions are keeping us from where we really need to be. And it could be internal. It could be, there's so many things going on that are subconscious. I do want to talk about distraction because you have a distraction quiz.
I do. Because we need to know how crazy distracted are we. So I put together a little quiz for people to just create some heightened awareness. This is the opportunity to step back and really see where are those distractions, and the more specific that we can get, instead of just saying, I'm so distracted, the more we're going to be able to address and eliminate those.
Awesome. And so they can get that quiz at distractionquiz.com.
Distractionquiz.com. They can find out whether they're a wizard and they're really great at this, or whether they're a squirrel or a deer in the headlights. So kind of some fun, or time zombie. So kind of some fun ways to see, and then they can come back to it, make some, and there's a series of videos that'll come afterwards if they want to stay connected with me, and then take it again, right? Make a commitment to eliminate some of those distractions and take it again and see if you're stepping up, becoming a wizard.
I love it. The deer in the headlights. That's a great description of that fear. Somebody's paralyzed with fear, not taking any action, and
paralyzed with distraction, right? Fear is a distraction.
Yeah.
Fear is one distraction, but there's like a whole multitude, right? Of, like you said, systems and so forth.
Well, you have so much information, and I know there's more that they can get from your website, pennyskeynote.com, right? And so when will the book be out, do you think? No pressure, not to put you on the spot, but
it should have already been out. So I've had some hiccups, but it'll definitely be out by the end of the year. I'm hoping to get it out by June.
Awesome.
But it's one that's got some deeper thought to it, right? The high level that I gave you about those 3 practices. But one of the things that I've been diving deep into is, the idea that we're all control freaks. Let's face it, right? And so diving into understanding that problem psychologically, that I believe, and I'm looking for some research, maybe I need to do some, to kind of prove that our need for control is driving all of our dysfunctional behaviors and is driving the level of stress. Because when we let go of the things that we can't control, right, it changes. It's a perspective shift. It's the mindset shift. And so, there's more deeper thought there that I'm trying to dig a little deeper and find some proof.
Oh, I hope. Yeah, definitely take that time, because that's fascinating. There's definitely a lot more to that. And I would love to know the reasons behind a lot of those things, and I think if you own a business, you are by definition a control freak. You had to get out of the corporate world because you wanted to be in charge.
Potentially, right? Because it's part of our human nature, right? If we go into the psychology, and I know you love that too, right? Is we are, driven to, think about when you feel out of control, right? Those are times when we feel stressed. Those are times when we try anything that we can do to try to grasp control. And that's where those weird behaviors come in. And it could be from fear of losing control. Entrepreneurs, a very simple one, delegation.
Yes.
That's one key thing, that if we could just let go of the need to control and to delegate more often and more effectively, then we'd be able to scale and grow our businesses much, much easier. But it's about control. Right? We don't want to lose control. And then we use excuses like, I can do it better than they can. And, all the things, but it's control.
It's control. I love it. Well, I'm excited about that book. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I feel like we could keep talking, but there's, we're running out of time here, but there's so much here, and you certainly can help people. Distraction, if anyone's listening, I'm telling you, just if we could get a handle of that one piece to start with and then move into some of the others, I think it'll be a more successful, but much more fulfilling ride in this entrepreneurial journey.
For sure. Right. Give us back. That's why my podcast is called Take Back Time, right? It'll give us back some of that time, give us back control.
Exactly.
So, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Be sure to go to distractionquiz.com and also check out Penny's website at pennyskeynote.com. And I'll just wrap by saying, I love the 3 steps that Penny shared with us, because 1, they're simple, but 2, they're very applicable to everything. And I took notes myself because I want to be all that I can be. So number 1, step back. Making sure that you're not getting lost in the task. That's awesome. Number 2, get perspective. Be open to different solutions to the problem. There may be more than one way to get the same result or a better result. And then, of course, number 3, realign and just constantly be learning and growing and developing. And so great information, Penny. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. That's it for the show. We will see you next time on the Power of Authority Spotlight. Take care. Thanks so much for listening to the Power of Authority Spotlight. If you are a successful founder, entrepreneur, business owner, or leader that's getting results and making a difference, and you'd like to be on this program, please visit performancepublishinggroup.com/podcast to apply. That's performancepublishinggroup.com/podcast. Also, if you got something out of this interview, please share this episode. Just do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on the socials. If you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag #ThePowerOfAuthoritySpotlight. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content, so make sure you don't miss any episodes by subscribing. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more? Go to our websites, performancepublishinggroup.com or michelleprince.com, and follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.